Okay, here we go. We're trying to create this car. Obviously, the wheels and axles are missing. Today, we're just going to create the base right here, this large blue, light blue section. So here we go. When you go into Onshape, once you're logged in, your screen will look something like this. Okay. You will press on the left-hand side, Create Document. And I'm left clicking. If I ever right click on my mouse, I will say right click. The title of your document should be your first initial followed by your last name, then the period of the class that you have, 1, 2, 7, or 9, and then the name of the assignment. So this will be car. And you're going to create a public document. Okay. Now, when you look at this, what you're looking at is three-dimensional space. Okay, if you hold down the right button on your mouse, you can rotate and look at it from different perspectives. If you get all turned around, you can always use the navigation cube to help reorient yourself. Notice this little drop-down menu, left click, and choose isometric, and that'll take you back to a 3D perspective where you can see the front, top, and right views. So if we click on the front, what's going to happen is it's going to rotate very quickly to this perspective right here, right? So there you go. Again, if you get messed up, just go to isometric and you can click on front, or you could click on this corner of the cube and click on right, and so on and so forth. So know how to go to isometric and then back to front. We're going to sketch on the front plane, okay? Now, what happens a lot is people click on the wrong plane when they start sketching. So be careful. Make sure you click on the front plane. If you can't see what you're drawing, you're probably drawing on the wrong plane. For example, if I say sketch, and then I click on the right plane on accident, okay, and then I'm looking at the front plane, well, when I try to draw, let's say I try to draw a rectangle, right, I don't see anything. Well, I'm clicking, nothing's happening. Well, that's because I'm not looking at the right plane, right? So you have to be very careful, because at this point, if I rotate back to isometric, I can see that shape. But if I'm looking from the front, I cannot see that shape, right? I can only see a line. So it's very important you sketch on the correct plane. So I'm going to exit out of that, and I'm going to start over. So here we go. So we're going to click Sketch. That's a left click. And then we're going to very carefully select front. Okay? If you see this green check mark, that means you're actively in your sketch. If you don't see that green check mark, that means you are not sketching. So I'm going to start with the rectangle. Click once. And then I'm going to come to the center or origin of the sketch. Notice I get a little orangish square in the middle. Click once. And then I'll drag, and then it doesn't matter how big you make the rectangle, click one more time, and there you go, you have a rectangle. Now, if your rectangle tool is on and you want it to be off, you can hit Escape, which is the upper left-hand corner of your keyboard, ESC. Notice the tool is off, and I can't draw anymore. I'd have to click the rectangle tool again to draw another rectangle. So I'm going to hit ESC again, and I didn't want this rectangle, so I can simply undo what I just did. Okay. Another thing to note is you can always delete. If you right click, you can delete, right? Piece by piece, right click, delete sketch entity. So deleting is good too. I didn't want to delete, so I'm going to undo those commands. Okay. The first step is sizing the piece. So before we do any other sketching, let's use the dimension tool right here. Notice the two arrows. If you hover over it, it explains add dimensions to and between sketches or sketch entities, which means just, parts of your sketch. So I'm going to left click on that. You can see it's highlighted. And then you can either click on the entire line or you can go corner to corner. I'm in the habit of going corner to corner, so I'm going to do that. So So I click on each one and then I drag. Now you don't want your dimension to be close to this arrow or close to that arrow. You want it to be right in the center. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to read off the sheet 2.75 inches. Okay. Now I went off the screen and I'd like to see that dimension. So I hold down the scroll wheel and I can actually drag and recenter, reposition. So holding down the scroll wheel like a button is very helpful for being able to see what you want to see. Now my dimension tool is still on, so I'm going to put on the vertical dimension. So I'm going to go from top to bottom, and I'm going to drag again. You don't want your dimension low or high, you want it right in the middle. So my entire dimension is 6.5 inches. Again, I can't see. Now at this point, even if I hold down the scroll wheel, I can't see everything, so I need to zoom out a little bit. So I use the scroll wheel to zoom out, and I can reposition. So it's important to size the entire piece before you start adding components. Now I'm just going to kind of work right to left because most of my dimensions are on the right side of the screen. The first thing I see is a little rectangle. So I turn on my rectangle tool and I come over here and I just draw it approximately where it is. I'm not too worried about being exact, but I want to be close. Okay. Then I'm going to ask myself two questions. How big is that rectangle? And where is that rectangle? Well, there's a couple of dimensions, right? The little side-to-side dimension is 0.129. So I'm going to grab that dimension tool and I say from corner to corner, all right, let's zoom in. This distance right here, click, drag, and it's shown off the screen right here as 0.129. Okay, so if I type in 0.129, enter, I get that dimension. That's the side-to-side dimension. The height of the rectangle is not really shown, but the location of this point is 0.875 inches from the top corner. So I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to say the dimension from this top corner to the top of the rectangle. Now that's a diagonal dimension, we don't want that. Drag to the side and click and I get 0.875. And I need to know where the bottom is, right? If I hit escape, if you notice, I can drag this point up and down. It needs a location vertically. So I can look at the drawing and see it's 1.375 inches from the corner. Dimension, click, click. Drag out to the side, click again, 1.375, and then I hit enter, and there it is. Okay, now I can still, if I hit escape, I can actually still drag this rectangle left and right. I can't drag it up and down because I put in a couple dimensions that locate it. But I can move it side to side, which means it doesn't have a location side to side relative to this point right here. But I can see on the drawing on a different rectangle that it's 0.125 inches away from the edge. So I want to make sure that the distance from the edge of the rectangle to the edge of the piece is 0.125 inches. Okay, and notice it turns black. Okay, when it turns black, that's good. That means it's locked in place and you're done dimensioning that rectangle. Okay, for circles, okay, you're going to have to turn on the circle tool. If you can't see any of the tools, you might have to hit a drop-down menu. We want center point circle. Looks like this. And then what you're going to do is click once and then drag a little bit and then click again. Okay, the size of the circle, if you look around the drawing, is a diameter of 0.160. So I'm going to turn on my dimension tool and I'm going to click on it on the edge of the circle. Click again, 0.160 inches, enter. So now it has a size, but it does not have a location. Okay. The location of that circle is 1.375 inches from this corner right here. So I'm going to click Dimension tool. I'm going to go to the top right corner, click once, go to the center, click again. I grow in between the two, then I drag up, click once, and hit 1.375. Now that locates it left to right. I'm going to hit Escape just to demonstrate there is no vertical dimension for that circle, but there's a note on the drawing that says 0.25 inches, typical of 4, 0.250. So the distance from the edge, right, this edge, click to the circle, the center of the circle, click, is 0.25, 0.250 inches, enter. And now that circle turns black. Okay, so you just want to go one by one through the entire design, putting on all the dimensions. Make sure you start at the origin for your first rectangle, and make sure all your pieces turn black as you draw them. If they turn black, that means they are fully dimensioned. When you're done, you'll click the check mark. Okay, now if you're done for the day and you didn't finish the whole design, that's fine. The next day, when you log back in, you'll open up this file, right? So let's go to Onshape, and you'll say recently opened, or you could click owned by me, right? And then you will see down here your designs, and you should find that one that's got your name and the period. And to get back into your sketch and continue working on it, you will right click on sketch 1. Not over here, but right here on the word sketch 1, right click, select edit, and then we're back in our sketch. We can click on the word front to go back to the front view. We can zoom in and out. We can hold down the scroll wheel to pan, and we can continue with our tools to finish sketching. And again, when we finish, we've got to hit the green check mark to suggest that we're done for the day.